Well, I became involved in politics largely thanks to my family and a lot of my teachers along the way. Definitely my father, he came out here in the early 70s, and of course he he always mentioned how he had a big Trudeau flag that he would drape over his apartment balcony, and he'd have to get up every morning and clean off the eggs and all the garbage that was thrown at that. So, I thought that was really cool that you don't necessarily have to toe the line with with what everyone around you is following, and being in the French immersion program offered here with the school District 76, that gave me a nice view on Canada as a whole, getting an opportunity to learn and be able to speak with different Francophone people throughout the community, and with my schooling as well. So definitely that's trying to get a mix and a match of what's been going on in the country, and having the background of my parents, that definitely spurred me into the political scene as the years went by. I'd have to say that the biggest issue concerning southeast Alberta right now would definitely be healthcare and land rights. Particularly for this region that we're in, we've dealt with so many hospital delays, and we're waiting on the auxiliary shell at the hospital to come down. That's been delayed until 2013, date to be announced, of course. So it's certainly tough to have such a large community that's been waiting for so long to have the proper facilities available to ourselves. And definitely with the land rights, we have a lot of agricultural community. We have lots of land owned by the city and owned by private owners. So definitely seeing something where you may have your property confiscated from you without consultation. This is, we're not living in the early 20th century in Bolshevik Russia at this point, so it's a little surprising to see something like that happen in Alberta, but we're looking to change things up and make sure something like that's not going to happen. And now actually this this one's the funny one. It's probably one that I find a little more difficult to come up with the 4 on the list, but if I could organize a dinner with any 4 people throughout history, the first two are easy for me. Definitely, if I had to get someone from Canadian politics, I'd have Pierre Trudeau there. I know a lot of people out here aren't going to be happy to hear that answer, but he was such just the personality. And the battles he fought, he was not a popular man out here, but I definitely think, with Trudeau mania and everything that was going on, he was someone who was genuine. He wasn't afraid to tell it like it was, and to get in a bit of scraps, and with the fuddy-duddy joke and the pirouette behind the Queen. This was someone that you really watched and followed, and whether you hated him or whether you loved him, just hard to take your eyes off, And right around that same time, I'd have to go with the American equivalent in my opinion. I'd have to go with John F. Kennedy. I think charismatic, great man. Unfortunately, his life was ended very soon. It's sad to have seen that, but he was just as charismatic. He had the following. Once again, another person that you were just drawn to. You couldn't stop watching, really. So he would be my second. The third one, that's a little tougher at this point. I'm gonna have to go with some musicians at this point to get a little bit of entertainment going on in our dinner evening. But I'd have to go with Roy Orbison and George Harrison. I grew up listening to a lot of my parents' music, and of course for me, Roy Orbison, I find, is one of the most underrated voices in music history, and there's a bit of sadness surrounding him, so I'd like to be able to talk to him and learn more about that. And with George Harrison, I know some people might might be going, oh, you should have picked another Beatle. You should have gone with Paul or Ringo or John. But John's a close toss-up. But I think that George, he was the one that no one put a lot of faith in throughout the years. I mean, people would always joke about how Ringo was the least talented, but of course he was the most candid. He was always off the cuff, hilarious comments, and keeping the gang together. But I definitely have to say that George was, in my opinion, he was the most genuine of the Beatles, and I'd like an opportunity to be able to talk one-on-one with one of the Fab Four, and unfortunately, I go over my whole list of people I'd have at dinner, and unfortunately there's none of them around, so it'd be a pretty boring dinner party just there by myself, but what can you do? It'd have to be my grad experience, a lot of good people that I had, a lot of good teachers, and it's tough to look on something because it's a very personal thing. I mean, you have siblings or other friends that are going through grads at different times, and it's a very different experience going and not being there and watching someone else graduating, But it's a unique experience, and lots of fun, lots of faces. Some faces I haven't seen in a while, and some that I see on a regular basis. But it's something that's going to stay with me for a while.